getting ready for Moab. We are down to like 4 days and we are panicking. Last time we worked on the front end, now we gotta get some steering put in this thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna center the steering wheel. Hillbilly's gonna get the front end on jack stands and we're gonna center up the wheels. Then we're gonna build us a rod that connects from the pitman arm down to the axle. This goes 4 turns. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So to center this, I gotta go 2 turns. That's center. But the steering wheel's upside down. So the only way to get this perfect, you're gonna have to take the steering wheel off, flip it, to get it perfect. So right there is center on the gearbox. So we're gonna leave it. That way we get the same amount to the right as we do to the left. First things first, I gotta ream this pitman arm so that the new tie rod will go in it. I'm gonna use this reamer bit.
So we got some KMC wheels and BFG tires for the Bronco. We're just gonna get
Bronc-Star!
Sorry, the Bronc-Star. Get it right.
These are some -43 20-inch billet aluminum KMC bead locks. Just one wheel costs more than the entire freaking Bronc-Star. So thank you, KMC. We're gonna run these with pride. Look at how good that looks. The offset is amazing on these. It's gonna bump these out. Or look at, we're gonna be like that wide, minus like a couple inches. We got some monster valves that are gonna go in it. Aren't those sweet? They're pretty cool. We are stepping down to 37s because the only KM3s we can get right now are a 20 by 37. So we're gonna be running the 37 by 1250 R20s. It's just what we got and we love them and we're super excited. And Owen's gonna be helping us welding up some links on the top. We got big dinner coming in. Hello. Got a lot of stuff we're gonna do. Reaming is not fun. This is a cast steel pitman arm. Now, this is a very, very dull reamer. I do need a new one. If we can just get past the dull spot, it's really sharp up here. There's some hard stuff in there. Oh, and just getting used to my new welder.
Are you using another bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna see how many bits I can ruin. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she gone. She ruined. So I'm using the worst tool in the entire planet. It's a burr bit. I absolutely hate it. I hate the metal that it shoots off, but we've got a little bit of a work hardened area in there that I just can't eat through. So we're gonna ream it. Look at that. That did the trick. So I've got that reamed to where I want it. It's tight, it's perfect. Once Owen gets that welded up, I'm gonna get it in place, get it all centered, and get it taken care of. I've got to cut the pitman arm. I've got to extend it out. So we're gonna lengthen it and bring it out because right now it's interfering with the axle. So what we're gonna do is basically bring it out to here. I'm gonna step it up a little bit so that it's right there in that neighborhood. That way this will come up and clear it. We're gonna do this. It's gonna add some length, make it a little bit harder to turn, but luckily he's strong. And eventually we'll get some hydro assist, but not before Moab. I gotta go work on the secret project for a minute and get a spring rate for some coilovers. I mean, I can't tell you what we're doing. So it is Monday.
You know what time it is? It's tire time. Bronc-Star's tires and rims are finally here. Get them installed.
Hillbilly loves steel wheels. I freaking love aluminum beadlocks. I don't think there's anything better, but in true Hillbilly fashion, we will eventually put some steel beadlocks on this and I will take my aluminum beadlocks and put them on another project. All right, so we are literally down to like 4 or 5 days until we've got to be to Moab. And look at the Bronco. It's kind of funny because it's not even close to being done.
We have about 5 months left.
So the goal is to try to get steering, brakes, drive lines, fuel, and a radiator in it before Moab. And that's probably gonna be it. Got a few more tubes to put up front. We're gonna get the steering rod in. So we're gonna be straightening out the pitman arm and then we're gonna be extending it. We're building us a kicked drag link, whatever it's called. Goes from the pitman arm down to the tie rod. We're gonna finish bending that, figure out where our pitman arm needs to be. I'll be getting that hooked up. Hillbilly has already went underneath this thing and welded up all the brackets. Now he's gonna get all the bolts all tightened up. I just want you guys to see what I can see. Look at that angry little person. She's so mad at me today, it's so fun.
At this rate, we're not gonna get nothing done on the Bronc-Star to make it to Moab.
So here's our pitman arm. You're probably not supposed to do this ever, but we're gonna put some heat on it, put it in the press, and we're gonna flatten it. We're gonna do the same to this because we want it to be more flat like this. Actually like that. Actually, we'll probably leave this one angled.
What in the heck are you talking about?
I don't know. We don't know, but we're gonna flatten it. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna heat that up to oblivion. Then we're gonna straighten it. Then we're gonna let it cool. We're not gonna cool it down with water. We will not quench it.
Yeah, I don't know how to quench cast, so.
Look at the difference. All right, so we're gonna let that cool down in the press under pressure. We've got our 1.5" DOM that we've already put a 22.5 bend. Now we're gonna come up here. We're gonna put the same bend right here. So we want this to be going straight. So I want you to hold it right there, Hillbilly. Don't let it move. We're gonna figure out exactly where we want our bend to start. We're gonna bend it back, just like this. So lay it over. So we want this to be about right there. So I think we're gonna start our bend here. We're gonna do a 22.5 right here. That's basically gonna kick it flat again and be perfect.
Don't mess up.
Wait, it's gotta go the other way. Good thing you said that. She told me not to mess up and I almost messed up. Right there, 22.5. After that all cools down, we'll get this length and we'll chop this off.
It changed colors.
Yeah, because all the rust came off of it. So this is what we wanted. This'll work, this'll be fine. Just wanted it offset enough. We clear our center. We'll let that cool down. We'll get it all figured out and show you guys here in a minute. It's hot, but not super duper hot. Now that I've completely burnt myself, I'll put my gloves on.
Thought it was hot, but not that hot.
Yeah, it got hotter.
The longer you hold it, the hotter it gets.
All right, so we're gonna get this mocked up. We're gonna build some pieces to extend this. We need to shorten it up quite a bit, but. So now we need to figure out where this is gonna land. It's not bad there. That's only like a 3-inch extension. All right, so I put a 2-inch filler extension in there. Now this is just temporary, just to hold it out. I just wanna make sure this is gonna fit. Yep. So we've got the gearbox centered and we've got the axle centered. Gotta tighten that up. So now we've got that sorta tight. We'll make sure that this fits. We'll get this tie rod and that tie rod all equaled out. And Hillbilly,
Yeah.
I think we have the wrong tie rods in.
Wait.
So that's a left hand, and that's a left hand, and that's a right hand, and that's a right hand. Did I make that?
Yes.
All right, so we've got to hurry and cut this bung out and that tie rod and switch it, or we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Good thing we check things. All right, so Hillbilly is getting this welded bung all ground back down so we can re-weld it back in. I've got the other one in, and so that tie rod, or that drag link, or whatever it's called, will function correctly. So we're gonna use this for the other bar and hope for the best. Steaming hot. It's the steaming demon.
Lick it.
No way. We want a little bit of adjustment on both sides. We're gonna leave it out about a 1/2 inch.
Wait, you already fixed the other two?
Yeah, I'm just that good.
Magic.
You believe in magic. We're gonna install this
Expertly
expertly. Then Hillbilly is gonna use a chain along, and we're gonna compress this driver's side all the way up so that we can get it to full bump. And then we're gonna turn this and make sure it clears at full bump. All right, so it's a good thing we're doing this.
Looks like it might be very close.
That or it's gonna hit.
It hit.
It's not hitting yet. Fully bumped out. As you can see, we're gonna have a real problem with the steering. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hurry and cut this off and adjust it up and get this thing to turn. It's better to find out here than to find out on the trail. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so check this out. Go. This literally almost clears. Okay, here, turn it. I think we need to come out 1 inch and go up. All right, so we're gonna extend it out 1 more inch and we're gonna angle it up just slightly. All right, so now that we have a super duper long pitman arm, it might break on us, but until it breaks, it's gonna work really well. And eventually we're gonna have to get hydraulic assist steering to help. For the one time we're taking it to Moab, Hillbilly's gonna have to muscle mania it. But we're clearing. Look at that, we got daylight. So we're gonna center this all back up, get it back to right height, and we're gonna finish that pitman arm and get this drag link all finished up. I think our steering's gonna work.
I noticed this was on a sharp bend. Does that matter? Do you think if we turn the other, all the way the other direction, will it be on the opposite sharp bend?
Turn it. Yeah, but our tie rod's gonna articulate enough. We're gonna get this all centered back up and get this built. All right, so we finally have the pitman arm where it needs to be. What is that called, the tie rod or drag link? All right, so we got the tie rod all fixed. Hillbilly calls it the drag link. Owen calls it the tie rod. I call it the tie rod.
Your tie rod is this. That's your tie rod end. This whole bar right here.
What is this? What is this?
That's your drag link.
All right, so our drag link, tie rod, whatever you want to call it, the dang steering, we've got it in. So Hillbilly's gonna get inside and he's gonna bottom that sucker out all the way to the passenger side. I'm gonna check to make sure nothing's binding. Then he's gonna go all the way to the driver's side. Once we know that it's perfect, I'm gonna fully weld it in. You're gonna go 2 full turns, knob to knob.
Knob to
Both
knob.
ways.
From center to bottom out one side, 2 turns, right?
Yes, and then you go back 4, 2, 3, 4. This is extremely complicated.
1. There's 1.5.
So we got full steering in 1.5 turns. It's just gonna be quicker. That's because we made it so much longer. Because it's this long, it takes less revolutions to go side to side. It's gonna be quick steer. Like super quick, like super duper quick steer.
Yeah, when you say turn the wheel a little bit, it's gonna be literally a little bit.
Look at that, it works perfect. How many turns does yours have? Like a half?
Like 4, like a normal car?
Eventually, we're gonna probably have to move the gearbox.
No, I like this.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, then that's all.
Because you're not going like this so fast so many times to get the wheel to turn the other way or go straight.
Is that safe? To just have 1 full turn?
It's off-road.
You know what? It's not gonna be off-road. We're gonna register this on-road. Okay, go back. I wanna watch it again.
1, 2. 2.25 turns is from full bump to full bump.
Yeah, we literally only lose 1 3/4 turns out of 4. It's not that much.
I like it.
All right, so it is the next day. We've got a lot of stuff going on. I've got the pitman arm all built. It's super, super hot, so I've plated it top and bottom and on both sides. It's gonna be cooling down so we can get it put back into the Bronc-Star. Hillbilly's went ahead, he got the Warren locking hubs put on, and he got a new wheel bearing assembly on this passenger side. So that's all installed, everything's working now. It's a 1/4 turn, lock in, lock out. So these are gonna be super nice. We've got everything tight on this front end. We've got the tie rod all installed. It's tight, it's got cotter pins in it. Got the drag links ready to go in. Once that pitman arm is cooled down, we'll put it all in, cotter pin it, and this front end is finished. Then we've got Owen over here. You wanna see what he's up to, you're gonna have to head over to his channel, Owen Barlow. He's getting his front end ready and his back end. We're putting some Yukon gears in here. We have a little surprise for him. You're gonna wanna head over to his channel and see what he give him. I'll give it away. We're giving him Grizzly lockers. This thing fits perfect on the 16,000 pound CL16 from Challenger Lifts. Oh man, it's awesome. Makes this thing look little. Chad's Fab's gonna be here tomorrow to take care of fixing these, getting everything reinstalled to where it's all correct. He's gonna have some 538s. It's gonna be awesome. We're getting ready for Moab. We're down to like 4 days and we are panicking. Anyway, lots to do.
When we get back from Easter Jeep, we'll have to definitely do brakes. There's like no pads on this back one.
You should probably put pads on now though. We don't wanna get down there and lose brakes.
Oh, that's just the rear.
What do you guys think? Does this need brakes? I vote yes. Hillbilly votes.
I got gears.
We'll do it after each Jeep. But I'm gonna go ahead and say we're doing brakes. All right, so I've got the pitman arm all welded. It's cooled. I went to lunch, came back, it's all cooled down. It's actually a little bit warm still, but it turned out pretty good. So I'm gonna grind the top and bottom of both end points just so that the nuts and washers and everything will go on flat. Then we're gonna get this thing installed. It didn't turn out too bad. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's gonna be functional. And it's just gotta get us through Moab. So after that, we're either gonna do hydraulic assist, full hydro steering or hydraulic assist steering, probably change the gearbox to an F350 box, you know, do whatever we need to do. But for now, this is gonna work great. It's all flat. I'm gonna get it installed. All right, so we've got our Extendo pitman arm all hooked up. It's installed. We have steering in the Bronc-Star. Let's go check this out. Look at that. Lock to lock. Look at it, he's even got the quick bar.
Do that again. Watch the front.
Yeah, the whole thing shifts.
Is it
right?
supposed to do that?
I mean, not really, but yeah.
I guess it's going to because it doesn't lock out on the steering box.
Yeah, it's not locking out on the steering box, so it's trying to force it further. So anyway, we've got a few little minor things that we'll address after, but for the most part, this is good. It's gonna clear the housing when it's at full bump and fully articulated. Hillbilly's back here working on the brakes. He's getting everything set up to where we can do brake lines and get everything ready back here. We're gonna be mounting the 17-inch KMC wheels with the 39-inch BFG KM3s. We're gonna be putting the 20s on our secret project that's not a limo. You're gonna see both of these projects at Easter Jeep Safari. It's gonna be super awesome. We're gonna be taking everything we've got out on the trails and having a good time. I'm gonna get working on the bars that are gonna come right here. So I'm gonna have a bar that comes like this, down and in, which will make us some support for the fenders.
So here I am doing brakes because Robby thinks we need to have brakes out at Moab or in general.
It would be a safe thing to have.
So you pull the bolts and then caliper slides right off. Take the pads off. Take out the old hardware that holds the pads in, and it also screeches once you get to a certain pad depth. Slide the new ones on. Take the new pads. Make sure that, see how it's shaped like a half moon? Make sure the outer part here faces the outside of the rim. The in part faces the in part of the rim, rotor. But when you put new brake pads on, this piston here and this piston here will be sticking out a lot further. You just take a brake piston collapser or just a normal C-clamp with the old brake pad and push them in, and just like that, and you just put the bolts in. So what I'm doing now with brake lines, I gotta weld this nut, or this bolt to the axle so we can bolt the brake line to the axle, because it has a bracket built onto the brake line. So I'm going to get this welded up so I can get the brake line secured, and then I'll start forming the metal line.
All right, so I'm gonna show you what I've been doing for the last couple hours. I've been forming the upper rail, the upper structure. So I've got this bar all bent. I've got it put in. I've got all my little spacers. They're not welded. They're right where they need to be. And then we're doing a kicker from here. And it's going down. So it's gonna follow this line right here. Follow it right there. And it's connect into this lower bar. What I need to do now is I need to get my mark down here where I want to put my notch in the tube, and then I'm gonna weld this sucker in, and that's gonna be our structure. We're trying to make it cool. We're trying to make it kind of bubbly and round because I've never done tube work, and I'm thoroughly enjoying figuring out how to do it. So it's a lot of extra work and it's a lot of time to do this, but I'm enjoying it. So once I get this bar in, then we've got to mimic it on the other side. This front structure is just gonna look cool because we're not gonna have any sheet metal on it most likely for Moab. Once we get back, we'll cover it up with fenders, but for the time being, this is what we're doing. Hillbilly's just about got the brake lines ran across the rear axle. Well, here in a little bit, me and the boss have to go to St. George because somebody made a boo-boo at the Off-Road Record Games, and we got to go down and look at Blue Steel.
We're gonna let Robby fix that.
Not really sure what happened. All I know is that there was a Robby Layton sticker on it, so it's obviously already fixed perfect, but we'll go down there, take a look. I don't quite remember how I did it, so I've got to learn how to redo it on the other side. It's just perfect, perfect, perfect. Go to the other side and recreate this, and it took me all day.
Guess what? We don't have another all day to do another side, so you have to figure out what you've done all day in 1 hour.
All right, it's on. I'll do it in an hour. It's no big deal. So I already know Hillbilly needs to pull this door off because he pulled the other door off, and then that way I can get my bend here and the door won't be in the way like it was on the other side. And while we're at it, we're gonna install our pipe plug.
Why are you taking this door off?
We had the other door on for a minute while Robby was doing the top bar, and it was just a pain because you couldn't get it tied up against it because it was still a little too long. We didn't know where it exactly to be cut, and so it's hitting the door, so now we're taking the door off so it can actually sit where it needs to. He can mark where to cut it, and it's easy to take off 2 bolts.
All right, so I've been hard at it for 10 minutes, and I've got all 4 of these little 3-inch pieces. These are the pieces that go in here. See, I've got 4 of those. That's as far as I've got. So I'm gonna hurry and make this bend next, and then I gotta try to figure out that notch again. That one's gonna be rough. Billy's just being rough. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. And then we'll make that one. So I'll be back in a second. Right, I'm deep in thought. So, this has a 6-degree kick to it, so it's kicking out. So, we're gonna match it over here, but we gotta do it upside down in the bender. So it's actually gonna be here. If we go from here, there, see how that works? Figured it out. And that, my friends, is how my brain works. So, in theory, this is backwards. No, it's right. It's correct. What am I thinking? I did it right. Yes. I need to believe in myself a little bit more sometimes.
Is it exactly like that one?
Yes, except for I gotta figure out how to notch it. This is way easier than the other side. I actually nailed that notch. The other side, I totally messed up. Totally messed up. I've got the back side of my notch marked. I'm gonna go get this side notched, and we're gonna get this tube in. I didn't even intentionally screw up like that, and it worked. It's a happy little accident. We like happy little accidents. That took us another about 20 minutes. We're running out of time. How many minutes? We got 20 minutes left? Oh, okay, so we got 20 minutes left to hurry and get this in, that built, and everything tacked. All right, so I've got all of this finished. My 20 minutes are up. I wasn't able to finish this bar right here, but I'll get that finished in a couple of days. So I've got to head down to Hurricane tonight. Hillbilly's gonna be working on this tomorrow without me. We'll show you Blue Steel as soon as we get down to Hurricane. So see you in a couple days.
Okay, so it's the next day. I'm gonna be working solo on the Bronc-Star today. Finished fully welding the front cage, which consists of these bars here. There's 4 on this side, 4 on the passenger side. Fully weld this bar in, this bar down to there. And then I gotta finish running brake lines. Now I'm gonna start welding this up. Got it all welded up. Now I'm gonna work on getting the back tarp off. 2 screws on the bottom, button snaps up to the side, 2 screws in the top, and oh yeah, I didn't finish it, so there's nothing holding the driver's side on except this bottom screw. Okay, got the tarp off. Now that it's out of our way, it's gonna be so much easier to figure out the inner roll cage we need to do. So I'm gonna hurry and get the rear brake lines finished. This is what I got for the rear brakes so far. It's going to secure down to this upper link, have a rubber one at brake line at this Johnny joint, and a rubber one at this Johnny joint. That way I know it's going to have plenty of room to flex without stretching or ripping brake hose. I'm going to get some zip ties, throw on there, and get the line ran to the front. Now that I have an idea how to do the front from doing the rear, I can video doing the front and show you guys. The front brake lights came, so you know what that means. I can do the front brakes. I'm gonna put this one on the driver's side because it has a T on it. So that way I can hook the metal line into this that runs over to the passenger side. I can hook the line that's going into this up to the brake booster. I'm not putting any portioning valves or nothing because I want the full pressure to go to both front and rear axle. Because with it being a rock crawler, you need to stop real fast. You'll stop faster than just 2. At least that's my theory. Scrape away the rust and dirt and grease. Install this. I'll go get the other one installed. Bring you guys back when I start forming the metal brake line that hooks the 2 together. I got the rubber lines mounted to the caliper. Taking these brake line holders that are from Barnes 4-wheel drive. I'm gonna start by putting those on. And it's gonna sit something like that. Probably just put a tack until I figure out how I wanna weld it on there. So the passenger brake line, it already has a bracket that's attached. It's bent at a 90. Almost a 90, and so it's going to make it stick out way too far. So I'm going to flatten it so that way it sits almost flush, just like that. Make sure it's not going to pinch, kink, or tear it. So right there is going to be my best bet. And so I'm going to weld a nut on there like that, and it'll hold it in place. Got the line hooked onto it, now I'm just tightening up the nut. I'm going to slide this brake line in to the bracket that I welded on. I got 2 different lengths of brake line. I got a short one and a long one. Let's see which one I'm gonna need. There's the short one, there's the long one. Well, short one's not gonna cut it. So there's my mark. There. All you do is you put the mark in the center of the wheel. You only bend a little bit at a time. About right there is where I need it. Put it back in, check it. It's a lot of removing and installing. So I got it ran to here. Now I just gotta measure where I want to cut it. I'll grab the flare tool. Hydraulic flaring tool set. It does push connector flares, bubble flares, double flaring, or single flare, double flare. It does a lot of things. You put the pipe cutter on, make a couple turns until it gets real easy. Then you tighten the bottom nut a little bit and just keep doing that until it's all the way through. Just like that. You get the flaring tool, you get the size of crimper you need for the line. Have it sit almost flush, because there's a little pocket for the other part of the flaring tool to go in. So you want it almost flush, maybe extruding out a little bit. Put it in, adjust this down a little bit, and then you get the flaring part of it. It just slides in like that. Tighten this back up, make sure your valve's closed, and then just pump. Okay, it's all the way. Loosen the valve, open this up a little bit to get for the double flare, and then you get the single flare just to help roll the double flare in more. And just like that. And there's the middle line. I have it designed to where it'll ride right over the top of the pumpkin or differential, however you want to look at it. And just like that. I'm hungry and it's lunchtime.
All right, so we finally made it down to Hurricane. So at the Off-Road Record Games, somebody made a boo-boo to Blue Steel. So we came down to take a look at it. I know that Matt and the guys have put a few parts on. They put a headlight in and they put a new mirror on it just so that it's safe. We're gonna take a look at the body damage to see what we can do to get it fixed for him.
Allegedly, it was Paul Cox.
See, and I wasn't sure who it was.
Allegedly. There's a dent right there.
I'm glad I came down to look at it because I had no clue how bad it really was. Look at that, it even put a rub mark on the bumper. How are we gonna fix that rust?
I don't know. I think I want you to clear coat it.
Hey, I mean, we could clear coat it, but...
What do you think? Is that something?
Oh, it's fixed. No, that's definitely fixed.
Yeah, between you and Bleep and Jeep, Rudy even had some.
This is something worth attempting to repair, but if it doesn't repair, we just change it. So it looks like it's gonna need either repair work on the hood or replace. It's already got a new headlight. This fender is bent back pretty hard, so we'll have to see. That may need replaced.
It's a work truck, remember?
We can get a chrome cover. They changed the mirror so they could see out of it. As you can see right here, the rope must have smacked, and there's a dent right here that we'll go ahead and fix. Got a little bit of work to do on Blue Steel, but I'm thinking probably after Easter Jeep Safari.
We'll have to get it to you after that.
Perfect. We'll plan on getting it done after Easter Jeep Safari and make it good again.
Give old Blue Steel the
royal treatment.
The royal treatment.
And I was talking to Hefe about possibly flatbedding.
Okay,
So-
we do need a flatbed.
Either we're gonna try to find one, or there's a guy in Delta that might custom build one.
That's when we should put the airbags on it
Yeah,
too.
we can do
the
airbags.
bed's
We can
off.
do, yep. So we can do the airbags, the flatbed, and then we'll figure out what to do on the front bumper. Either, wonder if we should color match it, paint it black, or clear coat this rust.
Black.
Black would look good.
So this is a cool heavy duty bumper from Flog, but I just don't like these.
We're gonna do some modifications, but Flog did a super awesome job building this bumper. I mean, I've seen a lot of bumpers, we've painted a lot. This thing is awesome. All right, so that's the plan. We're gonna take Blue Steel up after Easter Jeep Safari, and we're gonna just do a mommy makeover on it. Get it all taken care of.
I can't wait.
Yeah, we're just gonna do a little up front, right there, and on the back.
So finally got with Tom and got it out of his truck, but we got the actual plaque.
You
for
mean-
most corrupt truck.
You mean that the cardboard?
It's official.
I feel so honored. I feel like this is the best
You
award.
earned that. You worked for that.
I did.
I watched your video, man.
It took a lot of work. So cool. Thank you guys.
Where are you gonna hang it?
Right in my shop. Well, that's that. So let's get back to the shop and we'll let these guys get back to work.
Okay, so I'm back from lunch. I'm gonna take a zip tie to hold this brake line in place. Now I just gotta figure out my metal line from the end of this rubber line up to the brake booster. Okay, so now I'm gonna weld these brackets on. Looks like a saddle. You weld those down, then the line runs through, sits in that saddle, then you run a zip tie up and over the top. What they look like. Okay, now I'm gonna start tightening all these up, and then zip tie it in place. And clip these tails, clip. Now I can start tightening up all the lines. Okay, now that I got all the lines tight, I'm gonna add some DOT 3 brake fluid. I'm gonna start gravity bleeding it first because it's just me. Once that's done, then I'll have to wait until Robby gets back, till tomorrow when Robby's here, and have him help me bleed them. When you gravity bleed it, make sure the reservoir's full, you crack all the bleeders, and then it slowly works the air out, and then it'll start just dripping. Way too much air in the system for that, so this pry bar is gonna be my best friend and my helper. Put it in there, pump the pedal a few times, then you wedge it against the seat, so that way it holds pressure, and crack the bleeder open. And you just do that repeatedly, and you always start from the bleeder furthest away from the master, which is the passenger rear, and then you work to the closest bleeder, which is the driver front.
All right, so I was making a little tiny notch, and it flung off, and I can't cut through it. So I'm tack welding it back on, and I'm trying to cut this piece off, because that's what I need. I got my buddy Case today, down from Heber Shitty. Ow. So he's helping me out. Hillbilly's in the other room doing a secret project with somebody else named Chad's Fab. You'll see on Sunday what they're up to. But I made it back from Hurricane last night. Hillbilly got a ton of stuff done. We were like 4 days away from going to Easter Jeep Safari, and we are screwed.
Why is Case here?
Case is here because he's taking the Freightliner to Boise, Idaho. You guys will be able to see that in another video. We're going to get a derby car. Well, we're not. Case is headed up to get a derby car for my derby. Gonna get a little Western. Okay, we got it. So basically it goes right there. So what that's gonna do is that's gonna allow us to tie this bar into here, and then we're gonna take a bar that comes up over the top and goes down to the other strut tower. So we're tying our strut tower in so it doesn't wanna flop in and out. We're gonna have a plate on top of the bracket, and we're gonna do the same thing over there, and then I'll make this, show you guys when it's done. All right, so we have Bronc-Star checklist. We got a radiator, fuel lines, fuel tank, fixed brake lines, cage, battery box, pro charger, air filter, drive lines, get it running, rims and tires, put dash in, gear oil, brake gears in, brake axles in, exhaust, and probably 10 more things that we can't think of.
Put the gear oil done, and put gear oil inside the front and rear differentials.
That's it.
Dude, you got too big of a list.
Rims and tires.
Way too big of a list.
I got my bars in here. I'll show you those, and then I've got this side all finished. So now I'm getting my center line right here, and I'm gonna be building my hoop for the strut towers that goes up and over the engine. This is the part where it takes a lot of time to do a little bit of stuff.
I'll end up helping.
The list. This next couple days, we're gonna be busting our butts. I've got the bars installed. Now what I'm doing is I'm building a hoop that goes from side to side. I'm gonna cut this off because I can only pull it up that high, and I can't really get a good idea of where I need to be to cut these off. So I'm gonna pull the bar out, cut these tails off that I don't need, and then we're gonna mark it to get my angle, get the angle of my notch, and then this bar will be done. Now we are gonna make this be able to come out with disconnects. One day that will show up, and then we'll cut it, we'll put the disconnects in to where this bar can come out, this front will come out, and then if we ever have to change the motor, disconnect it and it comes right out.
Is that like buttons?
They're like bolt thingies. They go like this. And then they have bolts.
So like buttons.
Sure, like that. So we're matching this front bar. All right, so now I've marked it here on both sides, and now I'm gonna notch it. All right, so I'm gonna set this notcher up so that I can get the exact angle that I need and notch it all the way through. That's the cool thing about this tubing notcher. You can set the angle, you can get your bar in there, everything you need to be precise. All right, so I got this up for bar end. It's all welded in. This front end is coming together. So we're down to like 2 days, but it's late, we're tired. All right, as always, we appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video, go check out this one.